Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about something that I got in the mail last week. It's called the DJI Osmo. Now DJI may be a familiar name for quadcopters or drones if you've heard them before, but this is actually a handheld version of it. This is intended to be for us to be able to use when we're at events, outside, basically around the house, or even when you're at the park, to try to take some really good footage, super stable, with a 4K camera that's also able to be actually upgraded down the future, down the line, if they release a new module. So let's go ahead and check it out. Once we open up the box itself, we're greeted with a few containers. One includes the instruction manual and a few information as far as basically how to download the app itself. To save you some time, it's called the DJI Go app. Download it and install it on your device. We have the big container that contains the power cord that charges using this charger, and the connector clips that basically you can use it to help basically connect to the actual container itself. It has two little clips here, and then you're able to use those as well. The next thing that we have here obviously is the charger that you're able to use to charge the unit itself. It's a proprietary charger, and it has basically just a plug on the side here. And last but not least, of course, is the battery itself. Now we transition to the container itself. It's definitely a hard case that you're able to use to protect your Osmo. We're going to open it up. It has a zip connection on both sides. You're able to open it up itself. We'll just make sure to open it up. It has linings, and it's very nice and soft inside to be able to protect the unit itself. Of course, it has DJI again on the Velcro strap here. We open up the strap to be able to access the camera itself. I've already put in the camera's battery inside so that we have the ability of turning it on. We have a little bit of a foam protection here. We're able to remove that. Let's go ahead and take that out. That helps us keep the camera positioned and steady when you have it actually in the case itself. The other thing that we have here obviously is the arm for the mounting of your smartphone if you need to use it. If you don't necessarily have to. The camera fully functions on its own, but to be able to use a viewfinder-based application that comes with it, which is the DJI app, you need to have the phone connected. You have the trigger, the microphone on the front, and then you have the ability of attaching your own connection, which I'll show you guys. I ended up using a lav mic with it to kind of get a better audio quality, and the entire mechanism right now is locked. It's not movable. And what you need to do is unlock it before you're able to use it. And then as far as control, we have a little bit of joystick here that gives us the ability of controlling the unit, the shutter release, as well as the video record, stop and start, and then power on. Last but not least, there is a few options here that you need to be able to be understanding real quick before you start unlocking your device. Last but not least, of course, is if you open up the arm, this is where you'd be able to mount your secondary device to be able to use it as a monitoring. And it does extend all the way. I was able to test it out with my Nexus 6. It will fit the Nexus 6 without a case. Not with a case, unfortunately, I had some problems. Before we start off, as far as what we need to do, I want to make sure you guys are understanding is that this is really the actual mechanism that makes this what it is. It's really a it's basically a disassembled piece from what you normally see in the DJI flying quadcopters or drones, as some people may call them. And it basically mounts here, so you're able to upgrade this unit down the road to a much better unit if you want to, depending on what they have available. And then you just snap it back into lock mode at the base, and that's basically where you leave it. You do not unlock this option, but whenever you do want to start using it, there is one lock right here. You unlock this one, and that makes it move in this dimension at least. The other option here is it tells you unlock it by flipping it down. But before we go that far, there is a lens cap that we need to remove. It's a rubberized lens cap that gives us protection for the lens. And then once you have that, you can twist it down. Well, we'll turn on the camera first. So we'll do here, open camera, open it up, and then once you turn it on, and it puts us up in the normal mode, which is what you'd want it to be. Connected my M7 directly into the unit itself. It fits perfectly, and as I said, you can fit up to a Nexus 6. The camera itself is facing us right now, and it's in on position. We connect to it via Wi-Fi, so it's as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection set up directly into it, you log in. The default password, unfortunately, is very cheesy, but it's 1234 1234. I changed it directly right when you first get into the unit itself. You have a few options to be able to configure here. You have options right here where it gives you into the camera control. This is where you set up the different resolutions. Right now I have it setting at 4K at 30 frames per second, MP4 format. Of course I do want sound. We have video format, and then right now I kept it on NTSC, not PAL. photo quality ratio 16:9 JPEG format. You have the grid, you have the ability of setting the anti-flickering, file index mode, and reset the camera if you want to do that. You go back into settings right here. And then you also have the ability of configuring the gimbal, basically the different types of configurations, the pan and tilt, pan and tilt again, configuration for the joystick. This is directly for the smooth track adjustment if you want it, if not smooth enough as far as the tracking. And then auto reset, and then of course calibration horizon, and then resetting the gimbal if you're having problems with it where it's not moving correctly. General settings is where you're able to set the Wi-Fi. Currently what I like about it is, as I said, you're able to change the password here, but it has the ability to be locked into 5 gigahertz mode. I did have some concerns with it with 2.4, so I locked it to 5, much better performance there. And then of course you can read the Wi-Fi SSID tells you right there if you need to know it. You're probably already connected to it. Clearing the video cache, of course, formatting the SD card that's built in, and of course we can go into the about, check the firmware. The only concern here obviously is it's not connected to the internet. My phone is connected to the DJI Osmo, so there's no network connection between the two. During the setup that presents a little bit of a challenge, but one thing I can say is just could go back and forth between the two units. You can configure the white balancing at this point. You can also configure some locking options here for the camera itself. And of course you can go back home. There's a couple of other options here you may not see. There's a little replay option where you're able to go in and see the footage that's on the unit itself. And it streams it directly over Wi-Fi. You can see I took a lot of these videos. I'll post a video showing an example. I did some pan and tilts, but essentially what it does is it will replay the video straight, streaming it directly from the unit. You'll say buffering, should start in about a second, and you can see it shows up pretty quick. The one thing I want to say is don't trust the quality you see on your device. Once you download the pictures, they look even better than what it looks like here. Unfortunately, they didn't do it justice with the way the application is set up. And then you're able to see, of course, stills. And downloading directly from it over Wi-Fi only supports up to 1080p, unfortunately, not entire 4K files. You have auto mode, manual mode, and the reason why we have the beep is because it's sitting and it's realizing that I'm not doing anything with it. Last but not least, shutter release, and then of course you have the ability of setting the different shooting modes, going directly between camera and video. And then last but not least, you're also kind of manually focus and set the exposure. So if I set it to my face, it will try to lighten up the actual scene. But so the unit itself actually looks really good. It is very, very sturdy from the sense of construction. Once you have the actual device connected to it, you're able to basically, just as I showed you guys when to put in the device, you're able to basically just extend the unit itself and then use it. If you're not using it, meaning you're only using it on its own, you can just basically dock it to this way. You can even unmount this. They provide us with a little tip that you're able to basically put in to plug it in. You're using basically just the viewfinder to kind of get used to using the unit itself, because as long as it's pointing in the direction that it needs to be, it actually works pretty good, and it has a really good wide angle view. Since we're not able to zoom in and zoom out when we're taking video, the resolution, it is what it is, essentially is what it's taking. And I found that over testing for the week that I've had it, that the quality of the video that shows up on my viewfinder or my device, whichever device I'm using, this one was the M7, is not as good as actually the quality of video on it. Where I thought I didn't have a good exposure and I was having to compensate and trying to change angles and go around, the camera actually was compensating for all of that. So I had good pictures, good quality video coming out of it, and it looks really, really good. The audio, unfortunately, is not something you're going to be basically looking for out of this unit. If you want audio, please use a lav mic or some sort of external audio connected to the front. But other than that, I think if you're just going to use this for video, this will give you tremendously really good video. On the negative side, I'm going to go real quick with the actual comparison. On the positive side, great video, really good on balancing. Even when you're basically just going forward, you're able to lock it itself, and then you notice that basically the camera itself doesn't change. If you release, it will go back and forth. You're able to use the joystick to be able to just kind of make sure that you stay or keep focus on your subject. And then of course you have the ability of adding your memory card. Having the device as a secondary option is really good because you can download some of the videos and pictures to it up to 1080p, and that's really some of the positives. Now, not exactly on the negative side, but some of my concerns at this point. It does get very loud, and I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. I'm just going to put it closer to the mic. I actually didn't go that high yet, but because I think we're not recording on it. So we'll go ahead and start the recording on it. I'll tell you real quick. I just want to make sure you guys could hear how loud the fan can get. It gets to a point where it's really, really loud that you can't actually hear almost yourself on the audio itself from the built-in microphones. That's why you want to use the lav mic, but it doesn't hinder the performance itself. I think there's needs to be some software update to stabilize the connection to the receiving end. A lot of times I will connect and I don't see a picture coming out of it, even though it is recording. And the playback, even though I'm connected to 5 gigahertz, I'm not getting smooth playback. With the device being so close to the actual unit, you'd think there would be no issues for the playback and that it would be smooth, even at 4K. But other than that, I think it really has a lot of potential, a lot of good functionalities. It is definitely something that will get very warm, so please be aware if you're outside taking a lot of videos. Don't be in direct sunlight for an extended amount of time. You're basically just going to add to the temperature issues that's already going on. But it needs to be cooling. I mean, it gets to cool itself with all these fans just to keep it running. But other than that, it works really good. I did use the same lav mic that I use normally for my videos here, and that's how I was able to get some of the audio, and I'll show you guys a little bit of samples on that. And the more I move, the more I actually change position. So let's go forward. 3 taps. Okay, one more time. Now, see my son's playing there. And I also am going to put in a video that's in 4K on YouTube so that you guys could see what it looks like in 4K quality. Other than that, really good. It does cost about $650 right now to be able to pick one of these guys up directly on the DJI website. Pre-orders are starting to be basically filled up. So, and last thing I want to show you guys is you lock it by connecting it here. It snaps into the spot, and it stops moving. And this is basically the docked position, and you'll be able to basically use it. Again, battery at the bottom. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is definitely going to be a really good addition to my arsenal of cameras. I'll be able to basically have much better shots, and you'll see some of the performance in this again in the video that I'll show you guys that I was able to play with my son yesterday at the park. But also in my future videos coming up, you're going to see a lot better shots coming out of this, and it'll be with the help of this nice little guy. So as usual, like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.